they hear the girls screaming, screaming, screaming. They come across a satanic ritual, which is not quite uncommon because it's their the man leading the whole ritual happens to be the pastor that the Reverend Cotton left them with on that. So the girl's screaming. She's on the sacrificial table. At first when I saw it, I thought they were going to sacrifice. They're not. They were going for the unborn child, and there's this big bonfire behind. Supposedly the father is tied up, but if you see in the video, one of his hands move. He's blindfolded, but one of his hands move, and suppose there's other people watching him. So Nell is screaming, here, and then they manage, and this other woman pulls out the unborn child. It's this kind of a despicable scene, and then throws it in the fire. Now, I'll touch on this in just a minute, and the fire goes up in this huge flame here. And what happened to Cotton was he said, hey, I got to deal with this. Is the real deal. This is what I was trained for. I got to get in this. This is not a no puppetry. This is real. So he gets out there with his cross and says, I am Cotton. You are evil, and this is over. I will not allow you to have this soul. He gets jumped or killed by the demon or something. Like everyone says, hey, stop that guy. He's out there with his cross and everything. And then what happened is the other two, the cameraman and the woman with a microphone, which starts running here. And then the woman eventually, she gets caught and gets hacked up with an axe. They don't show it, but earlier there was a picture of her being hacked up. All right, and then the cameraman keeps running and keeps running and keeps running. And then he turns the camera around and sees the kid, Caleb, which got cut up like this. And there was a photograph of him getting his head cut off. The next thing you see is Caleb going like that. The camera falls and gets turned off, and that's the end of the whole movie. Okay, so there was something kind of interesting on this. Now, unborn and born child sacrifices are not unknown in pagan religion, satanic worship. It's not quite unknown on that. It is something, it is a ritual. What I thought was interesting was the robes they were wearing on that. It was very, very similar to something else that I've seen, and interesting correlation. I don't know, I'm not going to go too much further on that, but it's just something you need to think about. Just keep your eyes out, because the robes in the movie they were wearing, and it was an unborn child sacrifice of sorts, where there was a demon or something on that, because it's not quite clear who fathered the child. But then again, this demon could have, but then that would have been messed up with like the laws of nature and all that. But anyway, as a movie, honestly, it was a cheap horror flick. Honestly, in a lot of ways, it was a Blair Witch kind of thing. One camera off and on, off and on. Ever since Blair Witch, Primordial Activity, Paranormal Activity, and now this movie, which I heard Paranormal Activity was, the second one was awesome. I only saw the first one, but the second one I heard was awesome as well on that. But this one is the same kind of concept. Other than the scene where she breaks her neck or something like that, or comes up and is like, hey, or is like bending over backwards, it was okay. It wasn't that good. But what kind of shocked me is here's a guy preaching the man of God, but I think there was an allegory that says, beware the man who speaks lies, which then, beware of those who are pretending to be men of God, who are preaching the word of God on that, and then when they get confronted with a real situation, there are those guys that run and those who stay. And in this case, he felt that it was an opportunity where he had to stay on that and probably get killed, and he got his whole crew killed on that. And in a lot of ways, it was very sad. But after, I still say that human caterpillar thing was the worst thing I ever saw. But anyway, that was a whole review. It's hard to explain. There's multiple things about it on that, but take a look, see what you think. I would say it's a decent movie. It was a decent scare fest. And then it was on. It's probably same on the same level as Splice. It was decent, but not like wow on that. But anyway, um, that's about it. We'll follow up with another review at another time. But otherwise, have a good night. Bye.